Thanks for joining us. We're going to talk all about a world-renowned architectural firm right here in New Haven, and the three principals are sitting right here: John Pickard, Bill Chilton, and Anthony Marchese, or Tony, we should say. Thank you so much for being here.
Our pleasure.
Our pleasure.
So I was scrolling through, I don't know, all kinds of research information about the three of you and your firm here in New Haven. And now they pointed out this is a book of just some of the things that these gentlemen have designed over the years, looking very futuristic in this country and outside of this country. Pickard Chilton, how did the three of you get together? You're Midwestern guys. So how did you end up with the firm in New Haven, Connecticut?
Well,
You defer to him right away.
of course, he's our senior partner.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, you're right. We're all from the Midwest. John and I are actually classmates at Iowa State University for our undergraduate work. And John came out to Yale for graduate school right after, and I worked for a couple of years and then went to Minnesota for graduate school. And 20 years ago, John and I found ourselves in a conversation about, I was working in Minneapolis, and it was an opportunity for us to bring our respective expertise in large-scale projects together. And we decided to have the studio in New Haven. John was already here in New Haven. And John and Tony had worked together at Caesar Pelli & Associates. And
Well-known, world-renowned.
Exactly. And John was with Mr. Pelli for 18 years,
Absolutely.
I believe. And so then Tony joined us, and Tony and I had never met one another, and John and I had known each other since 1972.
So it's worked out okay.
It's worked out okay,
Yeah,
but when I found out that Tony grew up in not only in Illinois, but he was in the same high school district, it was a nice sort of coming together of backgrounds.
Common roots.
Common roots.
I'm a person who has been a journalist for 40 years. I can't even draw a stick figure, okay? So when I look at your magnificent buildings in Kuala Lumpur, in Oklahoma, and they're, I keep pointing out this book, which you say a lot of these buildings are ancient, but they're filled with glass.
Yes.
How do you start as kids out of the Midwest to start to design this stuff? How does this happen?
I think Bill started the conversation by saying we're all from the Midwest. I think part of it is growing up in an area where there was a lot of building going on and a lot of construction, so interest in how buildings get built. I think it also came from our parents. All of our fathers were engineers, and they drew and they built things, and so that was sort of passed on to us. And coming from Chicago, architecture is the major sport there.
Yeah.
Any taxi cab driver will tell you about the latest building, so it's part of the culture. And I think all three of us started at a young age with the idea of being architects.
Have most of the things that you all have designed been built?
Yes.
Everything?
Not everything,
No,
but the vast majority has been built.
And as an architect, are you on site for most of the building
Yes.
of these magnificent
Yes.
structures?
But we do it in a complex team. Buildings today are so complicated. The notion of the single solo genius architect is incredibly naive. We work in close collaboration with the most gifted structural engineers, mechanical engineers, technically skilled architects, and they allow our 50, 60-person firm in New Haven to leverage our skills across the globe. And without that collaborative partnership, we couldn't do it.
Now, you're about to build in Cambridge for Google.
We are.
We are.
When you go to Google and they say, this is what we think, or do you tell them, this is what we think you should have? How does that conversation go?
It's really a combination. We certainly want the building to fit the users well, but we also want the building to fit well within the city. So it's sort of combining the inside and the out, if you will. So we begin with an idea about how to make it work for the people that are going to occupy the building, but we want all of our buildings to be great contributors to the city, to make a better city. That's one of our major goals.
And you're known for being green, so
yes,
we absolutely
you get
are.
all of that.
We do.
Did that come along the way? That wasn't, when you first started the firm, that wasn't part of it.
Actually, it was. It was there.
Was it?
The first building we ever did, we put a garden on the roof. The word sustainable wasn't even in the vocabulary, but we thought the right thing to do was to put a beautiful garden on the roof. And it grew from there, and we have advocated on behalf. So for instance, today, the firm has created the equivalent of 30 Empire State Buildings worth of highly respected green buildings, platinum or gold in this system called LEED. And we've been leaders in that regard. Tony's designing a beautiful building right now that's all made out of timber for downtown Denver that will be extremely sustainble.
Yeah. So what's interesting about the timber is it's new, but it's old. So it's a well-respected, time-tested way of building buildings. But it's starting to gain a kind of a new following or new emphasis because the timber used to build the building sequesters carbon. So, you know, a normal building, whether it's concrete or steel, uses a lot of carbon to kind of be built. If you imagine taking trees, putting them in a building, that carbon is trapped in the building. And so first thing that seems a little bit counterintuitive is, well, we're tearing down trees to build a green building. But the reality is the trees come from either a kind of a sustainable harvesting, or in the United States, we actually have more than enough trees that die as a result of disease or some other instance that allows us to use that kind of untapped resource to build buildings out of wood. And what makes the wood buildings so beautiful is you step inside of them and they're so warm and so rich and so human. So it's something we're definitely working on and excited about.
What do you have on the drawing board right now that you can talk about?
The key word is talk about.
I mean, we're gonna look at a Skyport that you have developed for Uber. In fact, you know what? Let's just look at it now.
Great.
Roll the tape. Not science fiction.
Not science fiction.
Something that Uber is looking into. This would go in Melbourne, Australia?
This is for Melbourne, Australia.
And you're one of 10 designs
That's correct.
right now. How soon do you know if you get picked?
It's hard to know because there's a complex conversation with the developers, but we've had a 2-year strategic partnership with Uber. What's quite fascinating, if you go back a year, we designed the Uber Sky Tower. And the Sky Tower is out looking even 10 years out. But what I can tell you is this is very real. Uber will be operational by literally 4 years from now. They're already doing test programs. And Uber is committed to transforming urban transportation. They will do in the air what they now do on the ground.
Do you get the first rides?
Of course. I've already talked about it. Guaranteed.
That's already in there. When I look at your buildings, I think futuristic. Is that what people say about your firm, that you're way ahead of other people?
I'm not sure I would characterize it that way. What we ultimately do is...
That's why you're the architect and I'm not.
No, we create environments to allow our clients to be successful. If you want to simplify everything we do, whether we're working in the tech industry or in the energy industry or in the financial industry, there is fierce competition in business for the talent. And the way we can help our clients succeed is we have to give them an environment that can attract and retain and engage those employees so that they can be more productive and so that our clients can be more competitive. And so as a result, we have worked on over 15 headquarters facilities, most of them the prime headquarters for the Fortune 100 and 500 companies in the last few years.
Do you ever pinch yourself and think, we started this little firm and look at what happened?
Well, you know, it's interesting. The little firm, although we started as a young firm, but I'll give you, for instance, when Bill and I had our conversation he referred to, Bill was leading the design for what became the tallest mixed-use structure in Europe and the Middle East with his previous firm where he was president. Tony was leading design in collaboration with Mr. Pelly for the Reagan Airport in Washington, D.C. I was leading design with Mr. Pelly for the National Symphony and the Petronas Towers, the world's tallest buildings in Kuala Lumpur. So when we came together, we were not rookies. We were experienced, and that foundation is what's allowed Pickard Chilton to blossom and touch these projects.
Ever in your wildest imagination, were the three of you supposed to come together? Or, I mean, let's go back to college days and how you're starting out and all of that. Is this what you thought would happen in your careers?
What do you think, Bill?
No, actually, it was not an aspiration of mine personally. When I was in Minneapolis, I was president of architecture for the second largest architectural engineering firm in the U.S. at that time. And so when John and I got in this conversation, from my perspective, I felt like our respective backgrounds that John just talked about, the power of us coming together was so compelling. I was 45 at the time.
Just a baby.
Yes, exactly. and I thought, you know, I don't want to be 80 years old and look back and say, what if? It's like, let's do this. And then Tony joined us, and it was, you know, some things in life you can't really explain. There's just this synergy that happens. And I think we were wise enough to recognize that synergy, and we were fortunate to have clients that valued that, and so that's what's really, you know, I think been the sustainable aspect of our partnership is there's a common set of values that we believe in, and we seek out clients that share those same values, and it's played itself out, and I think in some very compelling ways, and so consequently we that's, you know, clients will talk to other potential clients, etc. And so such a large percentage of our work is repeat and referral, probably 90% of our work.
And that's everything, right?
Yeah, that's everything.
How much are you designing inside the United States, and how much are you designing outside the United States?
You know, historically, we've probably never been more than 20% international, and we like it that way. And it's interesting. During the recession, we were fortunate enough when there was, particularly in the architectural profession, significant layoffs, very, very significant. We actually grew 20% during the recession, and that was because of the corporate clients that we were working with. And what's happened over time is that there's a way in which we work that is highly collaborative, it's relationship based, and I should say that we also are very focused on making sure that that values alignment that I was talking about is in place with the clients that we work with.
I'm going to ask each one of you, proudest design. Tony.
Oh my goodness.
Can I ask you just to clarify?
Yes, you may.
In our careers or as Pickard Chilton?
Oh.
It's got to be Pickard Chilton.
Okay, both.
Oh, okay, all right.
In your career, and then at Pickard Chilton.
This answer I'm going to tell you in advance is going to really frustrate you.
Bring it.
For me, honestly, it's the next project for me. It really is. I love all of the things that I've been lucky enough to work on, but it's the excitement of the next project that kind of gets you up in the morning and gets you going. And I you know, hopefully there aren't too many clients watching and will hold it against us for saying, you know, not this project or that, but it really is the next project that excites us.
Okay, you have to pick one, though, so that's one answer.
Okay.
So which of your children do you love? Which of your children do you really not love as much?
I mean, that's been fun or exciting, or in this country or outside of this country. you know?
I would probably have to say the campus that we designed in Houston for Exxonmobil.
For Exxonmobil,
Yeah.
which is terrific. All right, now your turn.
Well, I have to preface it, but this is true for all three of us. We have been blessed working on a disproportionate number of really interesting projects in our career.
Sure.
And for me, I would say it's actually the smallest project that we've ever done. And it's a project in Dublin, Ireland, by far the smallest. And a logical follow-up question might be, well, why is that? What
And what is it?
And it's actually the corporate headquarters for Eaton Corporation that's based out of Ohio. We're started in Ohio. And it was interesting for lots of different reasons. Start with a great client. It was a very interesting design problem in that we were taking an existing building inside a block of Georgian terrace housing from about the 1830s and inserting a modern structure that was historically sensitive to its context but still a modern building. And also working with the city and the community. I think that's something that's really key to our practice is that I said earlier, we're relationship oriented, and we're very sincere about what we do, and we look to build partnerships with various constituencies beyond the client, beyond the design team, and that's with the communities within which we practice.
So are those your two things? Because you just gave me one.
Oh.
One with the firm, one outside of the firm. Could be even something that you designed as a kid.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I would say that prior to Pickard Chilton, it was the high-rise project that John was mentioning.
It's a small, it's only 300 meters. It's the same height as the Eiffel Tower.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
modest structure.
All right, John.
Well, you know, Tony's answer was a correct one because as an architect and designer, the blank canvas is so compelling. But because you're being
Just
rather...
for fun.
No. Bill talked about our investment in community, and I think for me that's what skews it, is I am a son of Des Moines, Iowa, and I know what it's like to live in a city like Des Moines that has an aspiration that they haven't quite walked into. And so when we were commissioned by Larry Nichols, the founder of Devon Energy, to imagine their home in the heart of Oklahoma City, the mission was so far beyond just a place for his employees to work. He wanted to reignite Oklahoma City. And so what we did is we created an incredible civic space. There's a central rotunda that soars 120 feet. And it has become the heart of this entire city. So when the festivals are held, the holiday festivals, the chorus comes in to sing, the pancake suppers are hosted, it's held in this facility. And then he put the resources of Devon Energy behind Buried Garden, completely transformed that. So although, yes, there's a very nice skyscraper, for me, it was working with a truly visionary client in a transformational project, completely changed the city. And now you go there and waitresses, taxi cab drivers are all, that's my building, that's us, that's who
Ownership.
I am. Ownership. It changed it. And it's hard because we've done many buildings in, say, downtown Chicago. Beautiful buildings, won lots of awards, but somehow they get lost. They don't have the power to transform. When you build in a place like Oklahoma City, you can transform, or Dublin. It makes a difference.
You truly are Midwesterners.
Oh, yeah,
You truly are.
Well, you should know.
We are. No, we are. That's
Because you're speaking my language, growing up in Indiana. I so get this. Did any one of you ever think that you'd get out of school back in the day and just end up in residential?
no.
Nobody ever did.
Never thought of it.
Did you ever do anything residential, maybe besides your own home, or that it was just a one-off?
I helped Mr. Pelley on one of his first houses.
Well, there you go.
Because Charles Moore, a very respected architect, wanted to see what Caesar would do. He had a great reputation for skyscrapers with a house. And so we had it. But no, houses are not.
Just not in your...
And if you asked us to do a home, we would respectfully decline.
Would you...
Although it's a great design project.
It's a great problem. Trust me, I'm working on one right now for myself. But
Oh, are you really?
oh, I am. Oh, yeah.
Are you getting these two involved?
No, they would. Oh, they would. No, they would be too tough on me.
So we're waiting on Uber to see if this
Yes.
if this works. Is there any other project you can
Sure.
talk about that's maybe going to happen, that's on the drawing board, and what is it?
I think, why don't you talk a little bit about 2&U, because I think 2&U could change the world a bit.
And what is that?
That's a building we're doing in Seattle. And what's interesting about that building is it's right in the heart of downtown. So it has some of those aspects that John talked about relative to Oklahoma City, or Bill talked about relative to Dublin, in that it is in such a key location right in the heart that it's really going to kind of transform the area. It's right near the museum, right near the market. It sort of joins those areas with the downtown. But what's fascinating about the building, and it's a little bit difficult to describe, is normally a building, you know, sort of sits on the ground like that. What we've done is we've lifted the building up 85 feet in the air. So underneath the building, it's almost as though it's hovering. It's up on columns. It's structurally stable, but it's lifted up in the air so that as you're passing through the city and you're walking through the incline and up through the city, you can pass right through the center of this of the building.
Whose idea was that? Or was it collective?
No.
They give you credit. I love
right here.
that.
Right.
And so where did that idea come from? Just in talking to your clients?
Yeah, part of it came from, you know, the way that they described the city, but also we were looking for a way to kind of bring some light, bring some air into the heart of the city. But also, you know, once you lift the building, we've put a kind of an interesting little village underneath it that'll have shops,
Wow.
creative office, performance spaces, a little piazza space. So
It's referred to
gonna
as a
be pretty
village,
exciting.
which it is. So you're in the heart of Seattle, but you have this dynamic village. And what's happening is, because the space is so vital, the entire space in the tower is all fully leased up, which is a bit unusual. So before the building's done, it's fully leased up, and our client has reaffirmed their commitment, doing the right thing for the city, and it's done the right thing for them financially. So it's a win-win.
Music to my ears.
Yeah.
Does this exist anywhere else? Or will this be a first?
I think smaller versions, but if you can imagine lifting a building 9 stories in the air, it really is
A high-rise building.
Yeah, it really is an architectural feat, but an engineering feat as well.
Other things we can talk about.
Well, we did the master plan for the largest redevelopment project in Tokyo, and we are designing the first phase of that, which is about, nominally 5 million square feet.
Wow.
This is interesting because it's similar to Hudson Yards in New York. In fact, in land area and built-up area, how much building is going to be built, is larger than the original Hudson Yards plan. And our client is Japan Rail, and so we're taking a portion of the rail yards, and the site is 1 mile long, and we did that master plan, and it's all tied in with a new rail station that's it's actually under construction right now. And first phase will be starting construction in a year or so.
You have a great team behind you. It's 50 or 60 folks back in your office, downtown New Haven. When you get, let's say, this project in Tokyo, when you get the green light, is there a collective yes, or does something
Yeah,
go
there's
off?
some champagne.
Exactly.
Absolutely. I'll tell you, that's interesting because this is an international competition that we won the project in Tokyo, and we put our hearts into it. But we're selective about the projects that we go after, and so when we go after it, we're all in. So we were all in on this, and so on a Friday, we get an email that says, we've decided to, from the client, we've decided to forego the second stage of the design competition. We're awarding the project to Pickard Chilton. Can you be here Tuesday? And I wrote back and I said, see you Tuesday.
I don't know how, but I'm getting there.
That's exactly right.
Oh my God, how thrilling. In Connecticut, have you built anything in Connecticut?
We are, at this very moment, building the Barack Obama Magnet University School. And we've been here, well, I've been here 40 years. The firm has been here 22 years. We've never done anything because we typically do large, complicated buildings.
Sure.
And so a couple of years ago, we decided we wanted to give back. And so it used to be known as the Strong School.
Sure.
And they've got an affiliate partnership with Southern Connecticut. And so we went after that just as hard as we would a skyscraper. And we were fortunate enough to be selected to do that. And so we had a team out there this morning touring it. And it'll be complete in another few months.
Have you broken ground?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, it's underway.
It's well into construction.
Yeah.
And describe it for me, because I haven't seen it.
It's a very simple little pavilion organized around a courtyard. What makes the project exciting is it has this magnificent view out to West Rock. So we've organized all the classrooms so they have these big bay windows that look out to West Rock, and then the children are protected in a kind of a courtyard. It's kind of a C-shaped plan that embraces the kids. And it's very, very simple, but very nice. We're very proud of it.
Should there be more to come in Connecticut? It seems
I
so.
hope there is.
Hopefully.
But, you know, Connecticut has been challenged.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate that our Connecticut office is doing work in most of the other states and Massachusetts.
Have you met with the governor yet?
We have, the previous governor, and offered our help, but we can't change the realities of Connecticut. So.
Meet
Well,
with the new
it's the
governor.
first job that we could drive to.
That would be, yeah, right.
Instead of getting it. Well, all of you are just joyous, and it's amazing what you've done in your lifetime and continue to do. And I am so happy to have all the principals of Pickard Chilton on. Thank you so much.
We thank you.
The last time you're all together in one
That's
country.
right.
So thank you so much, and I can't wait to see
pleasure.
more of what you do.
Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
You bet.
Okay.
Spend all night kissing and the bump is right here, then who else is missing? Got a little sidetracked if I'm so wishing to find the keys to the door, but it's also a metaphor. Things keep locked in the grocery store, the mind just to save time. Skip right ahead to the last ride.